gators in it.
Oh, yeah? Well, me and the Lord, we got an understanding. We're on a mission from God.
They shouldn't have given you Ashy Bloke's YouTube.
Cursed be the ground for our sake. Both thorns and thistles it shall bring forth for us. For out of the ground we were taken, for the dust we are. And to the dust we shall return.
I'm done with life, and it's all Jermaine's fault. It's always Jermaine's fault. I'm done.
All right, good people. You Dusty Jermaines, you Ashy Jeffries, and you Dirty Foot Jose's, okay? In the building, okay? In the building. Checking y'all out, punching the clock on a Thursday. It was a toss up trying to figure out because they have a lot of stuff on the board. The thing is, what goes over the threshold to actually do a whole hour on versus what should be in a pre-recorded. And sometimes you run out of stuff to where you got plenty of stuff to actually do a pre-recorded on because there's tons and tons and tons of clips and stuff like that. But it's not enough to stretch it out to a whole hour. I'm not as good as Edward or Mr. Z or people like that can actually take a clip. Mr. Z can take a clip, a little 30-second clip, and talk a whole hour on. That's how good he is. I am not that guy. I do not have that level of talent. A man had, like Clint Eastwood said, a man has to know his own limitations, okay? And I do. Anyhow, batting first, Quentin, what's going on? Batting second, Shannon Green. Batting third, Martin Muhammad. I want to just say this, man, because I had this going back and forth with this dude called Lightbringer, right? Or forget what his pen name is, right? Okay, motherfucker, I don't come to your channel telling you what the fuck to say. Okay, you can't tell me and regulate my fucking speech. Okay. You can't tell me what my experience in an organization is, because even in the Black manosphere, we disagree. Okay, there is no such thing as a one-stop shop. Somebody is overarching. Okay, especially in a loosely based organization, say like MGTOW. Okay, it's not. Can't tell me what I am. Can't tell me what I've been through. Can't tell me the people that I've talked to. We get a lot of that in here. People trying to tell you what you like they're an authority. Dude, you're not an authority. I didn't even know who you were back there as far as a MGTOW was concerned. So anyway, let me continue. I don't like that shit. You don't like people coming to my channel tell me what I can and cannot say. I can say what the fuck I want to say. I try to be polite and give you your argument. But at the end of the day, it's my channel. I don't have to have comment sections up here, okay? I don't have to allow comments. I don't have to allow chats. I do that because I want to hear what you guys got to say. And I don't even have to highlight you. I can just delete you right off the bat, because I've been in a lot of lives where what I respectfully stated my situation, my opinion, and they blocked me immediately, okay? Blocked me immediately. Why do you think most of these cats like Stardust and I'm kind of don't do lives, okay? Because they don't want opposition. It's okay. I allow it. But the thing is, don't tell me what the fuck what I've been through, my experience in it, because I was a content creator in that. Don't tell me what I've been through or what my opinion should be. Because I don't go to your channel telling you what the fuck to say. I don't go to nobody's channel telling them what the fuck they say on their own channel. I don't. Anyhow, Daz, appreciate you. Batter swing, okay? Drive him in, man. Hit it into the lake, into the bay. Ignace, what's going on? Alone but not lonely, unlike my female friends. Yeah, I wish I could find it because there was a chick crying in the car about her being lonely and not having not having friends or not having a male acquaintance. Saint Cyr, what's going on? Trail, what's going on? Snowman, what's going on? Batting seventh, okay. Back in that third inning, man, go ahead and get that rally going. Laveris, what's going on? How's the study going? Adric, what's up? The Black Toxic, what's going on? Tunnel Runner, Dirty Foot Jose in the house, okay? With your popcorn and your reparations, okay? Pirate Broadcaster. Mark Bryant, what's going on? Jesse Griffiths, what's going on? Shannon Green, what's happening? Poseidon, what's happening? Palm Beach Mike, what's going on? B-Roll, what's happening? Odinga Mubutu, the media is lying. Most modern men feels better alone while prosper. However, the threat to society give me my couch, my blues, and I'm golden. Yeah. That's really what's going on, man. That's when they said male loneliness. They said, okay, you have TikTok, you got X, you got it's got reading up on what's that on Discord, okay? I don't hear that shit on Discord. I don't hear that shit on TikTok. I don't hear that stuff, okay? I don't hear guys crashing out about being lonely. In fact, you know, at my age and a lot of my cohort, they're like 30. The majority of my cohort is 30 and up, okay? And a lot of these guys are in their 40s, okay? 40s and 50s, okay? They have sons, and they're saying their sons are not engaging. They're not looking for girlfriends, okay? They're not looking for significant others, okay? They're virgins, and they really don't care. It's not bothering them. It ain't bothering them because the stigma on being a male virgin is gone for the most part, okay? Nobody talks about some dude being a male virgin. It doesn't matter no more, especially with the environment that we're in. Henderson Bancroft, what's going on? Fernando's, what's happening? Forever Blessed. LAXT, ST, what's going on? D, I'm dusty but far from rusty. I heard that. Luther, what's happening? Dre Day. Spirit of Justice, what's going on? Rise Films, what's going on? Just flew in on a dusty breeze. Heard that. Terrell Weiss, what's going on? SW, what's going on? Trail, what's happening? Gary. Paul, what's up? Sometimes we have to experience loneliness to achieve peace. Man, I'm a monk, so I know what it is. And all the COVID did was actually accelerated. Red Pill Sleeper, what's going on? D. Scott, I sure is lonely. Fadishi, what's going on? Michael, what's going on? The Black Toxic, what's going on? Kenyard, what's going on? Alonzo, Osiris, what's going on? W. Brizzle, what's happening? Dayron, what's going on? Ricky, what's going on? Bo Johnson, what's happening? What up? Had you talked about this just a couple of months ago? I might have. Yeah, hell, you have some people. Mr. Z could talk about something for like 2 weeks and y'all don't say nothing. Independent POV, hey, Master Teacher, it has been a while. been studying with Theo. The process is amazing. I have learned so much, and dog in me is growing day by day. I heard that. That's what it really takes, man. Takes that dog. Prince, what's going on? Age of Machines. Roll call. Gotta get info. Survey, reflect, and adapt. Thanks for the recon. Heard that. Saw a good video with your discussion with May about SB. Man, May is something, man. May is something. She's a gynocrat. She can't help herself. Forever Blessed, what's going on? Superstar J Quick. Christopher Polk, what's going on? Victor Creed, what's going on? Sheila E, what's happening? Jeffrey, appreciate you. Moses Etienne, what's happening? Saint Nick 69, what's happening? Let's see. Blanco, what's happening? De Negro. Eddie, what's up? Northeast checking in. How's the weather? Will, what's happening? Dorati Datio. It's impossible to miss anything about dating. Yeah, probably. Nowadays, you're probably right. Will, what's going on? Johnny Anderson, what's going on? This male alone is the way to gaslight males into getting married and having kids. Yeah, it is, of course. I had a woman tell me they'll deal with a guy with 6 kids because a lot of us are boring. We just want to take reels of us working out, riding our bikes, etc. I told her we like our peace. Okay. So what does she think is exciting? If what you do is boring, what's exciting to her? Forced dating by bayonet on the cards. Well, it could be. That's not going to work though. Dr. Thunder, what's up? Had a soul, what's going on? Mr. Donnie Mack, what's going on? Movies like Porky's and Revenge of the Nerds in the 80s made being a male version the worst possible thing ever. Yep. Dr. L's called Dr. L's the gynocrat whisperer. Although that chick up front, Dr. L's, I got a bone to pick you about that chick up front, okay? Talked about what the fuck she wanted, being like 50 pounds overweight and having that kind of stern voice, okay? Okay? Basically, okay? To get a woman to respect you or date you shouldn't take nothing, okay? Shouldn't take nothing. I was down in Latin America, man. Them cats barely have a floor to sleep on. Sleep on a fucking dirt floor and they can get a date. They can get respect from them women, okay? Fuck all the requirements. If you don't want a man, you don't want a man. Stay alone. Because that same chick, I guarantee you, sneak in that dude, that dusty dude from 12 to 5 to dust off that vagina. Perfection Progress, dating has become a huge subscription. It's a scam, man. It's a scam. Dating's a scam nowadays, okay? But they get you to buy into it. There's never a survey done starting being lonely. They said being alone was more negative effects on men than women. Yeah, without proof. It was just one survey, one study, man. And they've blown that. It's about 4 years old. They've blown that into a whole ecosystem. Okay. A value mail, salute to BGS in the chat. Grade I9, what's up? Appreciate you. They called it loneliness. We call it solitude. Yeah. Kelvin Davis, what's going on? Very Little, salute. Superstar J Quick, Johnny Anderson, Pure Yang. I haven't dated since 2014. I'm not lonely. Sometimes you need to go monk for a decade to build up your life. The thing is, and this is something I was talking about as far as monk, okay? Me and Dr. T talked about this during COVID. Okay. It's like going monk is like going off of sugar, right? You're going to get the shakes for the first 90 days. Okay. First 90 days going off of sugar, you're going to get the shakes. After about 6 months, okay, you have two choices. Either you go back on it, get back into it, or sugar's going to taste nasty to you from then on, okay? And if you go, that's why I said if you don't want to go monk, you still want to date, okay? I said even if you don't have sex, stay in contact with women, okay? Men do not know how much emotional labor they have to do to have a date and have a woman in their life. Okay, that's a ton of emotional labor. Because especially for a black man, right? You got to entertain her. You got to be what she wants. You got to listen to her. You got to make sure that she's not bored. Okay. There's a whole bunch of shit that goes along with it. And after that, then you have to have money and all this other kind of stuff to take care of her, right? Okay. All this stuff that you have to do just to have a woman, especially a black woman in your life, okay? That's a lot. That's a lot. And if you're not socialized and trained to be addicted to that particular drug or that way of life, okay, you'll notice that's a lot. But the thing is, most guys, you float along, that's just the way it is, right? Like fish being in water. COVID caused that break where you couldn't do that. You couldn't date. You couldn't chase chicks. You couldn't, hell, you couldn't have sex for 6 months, right? And a lot of guys complained about, oh, I'm lonely and I can't have sex, and I miss going out and I miss women, blah blah blah, until they actually got back into the dating pool and they said, damn, I didn't know she was that irritating. I didn't know it took all this. I didn't, I didn't know it took all this money. All of a sudden, money's draining out of your wallet, and she's more demanding, and she's calling you, and she wants you to keep up with her emotions and all that kind of shit. Okay, so damn, I know how much work and money and time it cost me to have a woman, right? And then you go back to what you were as a monk and say, wait a minute, I was way more happy and content as a monk than I am being in a relationship. So, like first thing you say, this is some bullshit. And a lot of guys started doing that, man. Because Dr. T loves to, he loves being in a relationship. He loves having a girlfriend, stuff like that. And thing is, even as much as, as knowledgeable as he is and as smart as he is, right? He found it difficult to date again, okay? Because he was much more particular about who he dated. He was much more particular about why a woman would be in his life. Same thing with me, because I'm a monk, man. I tried, after I went monk for about a year or 2 years, trying to get back into it, man, that's hard. Okay, so it's hard. And that's what's happening right now. A lot of these guys are, they're not seeing the value, and this is something that Barbarossa said as a MGTOW way back in 2011, right? The juice is not worth. Sometimes the juice is not worth the squeeze. Is the juice worth the squeeze? Do you get a return on investment? That's why I still tell guys, okay, if you cannot get a return on investment from day one, don't enter into that relationship, okay? Don't try to think what she's gonna be like down the future. Okay, that's a trap. Okay. Very little, not loneliness, peace. Yeah. I mean, if you want a woman, know what it costs. Okay. Said I love the discussion with May as well. I listened to the whole thing 3 times. Very informative. Yeah, May, man. This just like it's like going back to my old women BGS for Women's channel. Okay. Kind of understanding them. Okay. And what really once you really start studying women, you find out they're not as complex as you think they are. They're really very simple creatures. Just like I came up with the octanes, okay? They're really very simple creatures, and there's not that much to them, okay? And once you know their class and their circle, okay, there's not all that much to them, especially black women. There's not as much to black women as you think there is, okay? Once you understand them, the thing is, black women lie and hide that shit. They're simple creatures, but they try to hide it under all this bullshit to seem like they're complex. They're not that complex. A great deal of this, I suspect, is projection from the womanist intersectional camp. Upset men can carry and thrive on very little. Yeah. It's more than just that. It's more than just that. Nameless. Okay. Go back to right, or was it before COVID? Or right after COVID? Called the Chinese lying flat. Okay. That's dangerous to any society where men will not participate. Okay. The thing is, can you hook a man up. One thing that women bear children, but thing is, men give labor, and men help raise families and workers for the next generation. Right? Without men doing that, it's going to collapse. Society, if men don't work hard and keep this thing functioning and improving and evolving, the shit will collapse, and you'll get taken over by a rival society. So is it important to the intersection of females? Yes, but it's more important to the state. The state is involved in this shit. That's why I was telling numbnuts yesterday that MGTOW was dangerous to the state. Okay. Didn't matter about the women. MGTOW was a protest against the state laws and feminist state laws that they were trying to impose upon us. The female gynocracy that the Leviathan, as Hobbes put it, tried to impose on us. Okay, that was the pushback. That has become a huge down payment. It's not even down. The thing is that if you guys buy into the market, yeah, it's gonna be a huge down payment. Okay, if the shit is drying up. Okay, guess what's happening? Okay, these chicks' requirements are starting to drop. Okay, and as Trump is coming in and gutting DEI, and these women are losing their cushy jobs, it's gonna drop even more. I respect. It'd be great to hear about your experience as far as what about being a monk. I've talked about it. Okay, got a crazy ass girlfriend to decide. Even before I became a MGTOW. Okay, I decided, dude, it's time for you to go monk. Okay, but I was in my mid-50s, so it's completely different. I would never tell a young man to do that shit. Okay, I would never tell a man that's under the age of 40 to even attempt it. I say bare minimum 50. Okay, know why you're doing what you're doing. Okay, know what you're giving up, what you're getting, and what you're giving up. And I don't think, in my opinion, I don't think you can do that until you're at least 50. Okay, it was easy for me at 50. Okay, I had kids. My body counts in the triple digits. Okay. I, I talked to them. I've been with them. I turned more pussy down than I got. My friends always call me picky. Okay, I turned more down than I actually got, so I know what it costs. So by the time I broke up with her, I said, man, I don't want to do this shit no more. And then a couple times I tried, man, it's just like this shit ain't gonna work. It's not gonna work. Anyhow, Will Wardrobe, I should have asked. Okay. When GTA 5 comes out, these women are gonna totally feel like male only is a problem. It's gonna get worse. Home invasion are exciting, I guess. I guess so. Salute from behind the green, the wheel. Okay, what you driving? I didn't know about Smokey Robinson's Virgin Man song until you watched it on your video. I think it was on this channel. Yeah, probably so. Yeah, the video uploaded was a good shout out. Yeah, appreciate you. So what else we got before we get started? What's up, Charles? Ian, what's up? Fast Attack. What's happening? There's a difference between loneliness and solitude. Loneliness is a feeling, and men don't have the same emotions or connections that women do. Even I was listening to Dr. L's this morning, right? Okay, some stuff I agree with him, some stuff I don't. Okay, men don't need the same kind of connection that women do. Okay, when men connect in all different kind of ways. Women need more hands-on connection. Okay, men. The thing is, a lot of what happens, especially in psychology. Okay, we go by the blank slate theory shit. Okay, men are not women, nor vice versa. You have to study the boys that are doing it, not assuming. Okay, got to study the boys that are doing it. I studied the males that are actually doing this. Stop listening to fucking women about male loneliness. Okay, stop listening to them. They don't know shit. Hell, they can't even figure out their own loneliness. Celebrated my 50th in Colombia last year. Didn't want to leave. It's not just the lovely ladies, but the environment. It's all about the environment. The lovely ladies are secondary. Dating is for my wife, and my mistress, random women. No, I always felt that way. Okay. If you're not a girlfriend, I'm not going to date you. I'm not going to date you to convince you to be my girlfriend. If you don't want to be, if you don't want to be with me, you don't want to be with me. It's like next, me. That's one thing me and Alan Roger Curry agreed upon. Okay, if you ain't in it, you ain't in it. Okay, if you ain't in it, I don't want to spend $1 on you if you're not in it. If you're not in it with me. Okay. Now there's some chicks, depending on what you want her for, and this is an old. It's an old player trick, old Mac trick, old pimp trick, okay? Where you put a chick on the farm team. Yeah. You got her hooked on the bait, but the thing is you gotta reel her in slowly, okay? Because you got a mission for her. But that's an old Mac trick, and that's an old pimp trick, okay? With that 90 to 60 to 6 month rule, okay? Because she's on a farm team. She don't know she's on a farm team, but she's on a farm team. And you're just waiting to bring her up to the big leagues. But thing is, you got 2 or 3. You got your 18-man rotation already. You got your rotation already. You don't need her. Okay. Are you doing? She's just a prospect that you're reeling in. My head hurts just talking about it. I had a rotation of 5 before my last relationship. It was mostly draining, far more than the money. Ray, you know what my rule is, okay? Okay, if it's more than 3, you got to get paid by the other 2. I say if it's more than 2, you got to get paid. Okay, ain't no reason to have a rotation of 5 that you're paying for. I don't believe in it. I don't believe in it. Shout out to the entire congregation. Please hit the like button. COVID made me focus and see way more about women that made me fall back. The lies, the entitlement, watching them screaming to the void about the inevitable. Yep. I'm running into that now. Okay. Caveman talk, use it or lose it, but keep your money. All right, let me go ahead and get into this. Let me read some super chats real quick. Mark Muhammad Beaches, I hate it when my wife would do smoke and mirrors like I can't see, purposeful distraction. Stop wasting my time. Then when I tell you the truth, you mad. Okay. The thing is that I don't argue with them is because they already know. The thing is, my problem was they couldn't argue with me. Okay. So they would do shit behind your back and then lie about it. They would actually do shit behind your back because they couldn't out talk you. My female landlord asked why I don't join her when she goes to speed dating events. I say these years of not dating have been the most peaceful years of my life. I heard that. It's the juice is not worth the squeeze, man. If it's not going to end the marriage, then what's the point of dating? I mean, the point of dating is okay. The point of dating nowadays, modern dating, is to have fun. Okay, have fun. If you get some sex, blah blah blah. You don't even mind dating if the chick is actually worth taking out, man, having a good time with. Okay, but most chicks are boring, man. Most chicks don't have a personality. 90% of your chicks don't have a fucking personality. I said a black toxic is triple digiter. They project out BS. Yes, they do. And the thing, okay, this is something my partner told me when I was young, man. A friend of mine, older partner told me when I was young, right? Okay. Said after a while, it's the same vagina with a different face. And guess what? He was 100% right. Okay. After a while, it's the same vagina with a different face. And that's why I was always attracted to women. I was always attracted to women that was different from my past ex. Okay, they had to be different. They could not be the same. They could not be similar. Otherwise, there was no reason to date them. I said, man, I just dated you. Okay, I just was with you for 2 or 3 years. So why should I go back to you? So they were all different. They're all slightly different. I said, if you got it like that, to have 5 women, at least 3 of them like you more than you like them. So you definitely should be getting paid by several of them. You got to be getting something out of the other 3. I'm gonna say that. You seen my answer? I might have, Charles. I don't know. Anyway, let me go ahead and get into this. I'm using my cheat sheet, which is password OG. Okay, password OG is my resident cheat sheet. Him and Psychax are my resident cheat sheet. Okay, I always use them when I want to cheat. Okay, because they come up with interesting. Let me mute this real quick because I'm talking in my own ear. I'm talking in my own ear. Okay, let me go ahead and mute this. This is Password OG. Are men lonely or logical? Okay, and this is something I've been saying for a couple years. Okay, that male loneliness was bullshit. Okay, because I know too many guys, and maybe Dr. T will do something on this because he actually actively teaches in colleges. He has these kids in class. Okay. And this is very common on the college campus where we have a whole group of guys. You're gonna have some guys like that having a whole bunch of sex, okay, running through the chicks, blah blah blah. Have a whole bunch of guys that could care less. They even have what they call imagine this, man. You're in kids in college. He's been in college two or 3 years. He's got a girlfriend, but he still doesn't have sex. He still don't date her like that. Why? Because he's not interested. Okay. They even have girls begging him to come by and do shit with him. And he's like, I'd rather stay home on my Xbox and talk to my boys. Okay. So let's go ahead and get into Password OG. Okay. Real quick.
God might have made a mistake because he created what?
Men.
The use and leverage of that type of institutional power is something we don't talk about. And so when we look through the 1970s and the 1980s, we don't talk enough about the acceptance and widespread use of pushing Black men out of.
I don't know what you don't know about, man. You got to explain what that is. I said a whole bunch of shit. What is it you don't know about? What's up, Doc? Dr. Reef, what's happening, man? I know they're keeping your ass busy right about now. I know Trump is keeping you real busy right about now.
Families using institutions that are designed, functionally around some degree of law enforcement.
Dr. Tieson Johnson has coined a term called blue leashing. It's the basic principle of weaponizing the state and the legal structure against men in a.
That's the other one I started to do because he just talked about blue leashing as part of weaponizing the state against fathers, okay, which also goes along with the MGTOW movement. Why you don't actually have kids is because of this, because women can actually weaponize that against you by the state.
Relationship, and more specifically Black men, so that in any relationship there's always that specter of, if you don't do what I ask you to do or tell you to do, or if I'm unhappy with you, I can simply weaponize the state against you. That's one of the reasons why we have an increasing number of passport bros. The idea that a woman can call the police crying and that could be the end of your freedom is something that is extremely scary, especially in a society that just simply doesn't like men very much, which we find ourselves in right now.
Hey, throw that muff. Throw that muff. Hey, throw that muff.
We find ourselves in a society today that detests men to the point where even young boys and even baby boys are not exempt. You can see many young ladies are very comfortable with the idea that if I can't have a young girl, a baby girl, then I'll just not have a child at all. It is so pervasive that now in 2025, a young boy picking up Instagram could very easily run across multiple posts of grown women simply saying that young boys even have no value.
Whether it's in the court or on the street, off a cop car or walking, whatever it is, we don't talk about that way. And we have to start looking at these things institutionally. One of my problems is we have too many of these conversations strictly about individuals, who likes who did what to who, but we got to also start looking at these things institutionally.
Yes.
These were not
Yeah, institutionally, but this is structural, okay? A lot of these guys look at this stuff individually, right? What's happening on the ground in my circle, with my interaction, but things there's a structure behind all this shit, okay? How do you change people? You have to change the environment and structure around them, okay? And then the people will change, okay? You can't change it individually without the environment. Doesn't work that way.
arbitrary things that women did just because they were evil. These were things that they were able to do because of policy.
Yes.
And one of the things I argue is over generations,
yes,
policy access begins to shape worldview and
Yeah.
behavior.
Yes. Me and Dr. T talked about this for hours, okay?
Meaning that the entitlement, the assumptions about Black female superiority that many of us talk about in the Black community, we can't name it, nobody will admit to it, but we've been talking about it amongst ourselves as men for the longest. This is not something that comes out of nowhere. This is conditioned behavior from having access, from having opportunities, from having resources, from having a safety net that your men don't get.
Salute to Dr. Tiasan Johnson. One of the things that makes him so valuable is that he gives voice to many of the things that are baked into the cake of American society that we simply just don't notice as Black men, particularly. When he does his Patreon movie reviews, he uses the Onyx score. Basically, what he's saying is how many positive Black men are in this movie? Does the Black man act in a certain way? Does he wear a dress? All kinds of things that have become normalized. And then when he talks about the society as a whole, there are simply some things that as Black men, we know we would never do.
Hi, I'm Melanie. I'm studying the unseen body in creative spaces, erasure and exposure of the queer.
Hey, I'm Nina, and I studied the arts, education, and social justice.
I'm Victoria, and I studied remembering or forgetting, navigating international conflict through collective memory.
Hi, I'm Nunyala. I'm studying living artfully, art as ritual therapy.
These are the people that are breaches of Starbucks right now. We're studying this kind of shit. Shout out to Donald Trump, okay?
Pathway to decoloniality. I'm Naomi, and I'm studying Black political economy.
I'm Natalie, and I'm studying fashion history and gender studies.
My name is Marie, and my concentration is the radical disruption for survival, development in sub-Saharan Africa, and social anthropology.
Hi, I'm Ava, and I study on woman, fugitive family, relationships, and identity. The transformative Black woman.
As Black men, we understand that getting it out of the mud is just part of the Black male experience. Oftentimes, we aren't going to have the connections legacy-wise that are going to pull us up or give us a leg up on an opportunity that we may not have had otherwise. But as Black men, we've learned that we have to accept this. And so when we go into loving relationships thinking that, well, at least here we're going to get a fair shake, well, in the environment that we've seen is there now, what did they say in the adage about those with power, what it does in corruption and whatnot, which I'll refrain from saying? Simply put, if someone has power over you, they're not going to give it up. And so now in this environment, now where we're starting to see change afoot because, well, guys will walk away. If it's not a deal that's acceptable to guys, why participate? And well, there are some guys that might be happy that the status quo is changing.
Now, we know in the last 8 or 9 months, a lot of that has been broken down. A lot of that has been, torn down. It's being dismantled. I've said this before, Black women are starting to experience life the way Black men have been living it, without a safety net, right? But the reason I can talk about that is because prior to the last 8 or 9 months, going back the last 60 odd years, what we've seen.
Most Black women don't care about jobs or what the degrees going to give them as far as jobs are concerned. They're concerned about having that status. The degree is status for them. Job is secondary. Okay, men think if I got to pay all this money, I should get a degree. What is my end game? What am I actually going to get out of it? Okay, two completely different points of view.
Is access to resources, and those resources have shaped behavior and worldview in Black women. Now, we could talk about individuals that defied that. Yes, I've known women that purposely didn't take their husbands to court. They just amicably set up a breakup. They divorced, signed paperwork, called it a day.
Me and my baby mama, we did that. Okay, we never went to court. Okay, we settled. We did it off the books. Okay, You know, I held up my obligation to both my children were 18, and she never really pressed it. You know, but I dared to actually dared to say, I said, you take me to court if you want to. I dared her to actually do it. I said, too many theaters, Trump, Traore, Iran. I'm all over the ATM with the UN week. At this rate, I'm talking to the drink in my after hours out of kind. Salute for today's show. Very interesting. Doc. Okay. Doc, if you can, I don't know if you can't got time. Okay. I know you know about it. Okay. Um, the Gen Z movement in Nepal versus the Gen Z movement in in um, in Kenya. Okay, what are the parallels and what are the differences? Okay, is there a similarity? I think there's a bunch of similarities, but I want you to actually check it out. Okay, because this is going to shape, I would say, the what do you call it, the developing world, right? In Asia, especially in Africa. Okay. Um, this is something that is actually going to come and actually started as a movement. We see this many young people actually doing shit. Okay, so look that up for me. Saudi is high octane. She's very high octane. Saudi is what I call a courtesan. Where basically she's a concubine for rich guys. Okay, which I knew. So she knows shit. The thing is, she try because where the money is for her is trying to bring that kind of ideology down to the masses, which doesn't always work. Okay, what she doesn't always work for the masses. Okay, at that elite level, yeah, a lot of shit that she says at the elite level, she's probably right.
That didn't talk mess about their father, the child's father to the child. I've seen examples of that. So this isn't a question of all women, but it's enough because these are systemic practices, right? And so you have women who are participating in the removal and exclusion, the banishment of Black fathers simply because they can. And this is something that's passed down. I come from a family of majority women. I've seen the little war councils, right? Where you have a grandmother talking to.
Oh yeah. I got 2 daughters. I've heard that, man. I've heard that. I've heard, in the break room, right, when you get a whole bunch of old Black women sitting around, okay, talking about their daughters and all kind of stuff and what they did to their husbands and shit like that, and they pass that information around. That's how women learn. Okay, they sit in their circles and they pass back and forth information to each other. That's how Black women actually learn. That's how they learn game. Okay. And they pass that shit down to their daughters and their granddaughters. I've seen that. I'm still looking at it, man. I'm looking at my mother. I'm looking at her mother, and I'm looking at her other grandmother, and I'm seeing the shit that they're passing down to their daughters and granddaughters. And I see that when they all get together and stuff like that, I see the conversation going back and forth, and I'm like, I'm sitting back, man. They think like they think like I'm just eavesdropping or I don't know what's going on. I'm just shaking my head. I said, y'all so typical. You guys are so easy to read. Okay, Doc. All right, appreciate you, Doc. It's gonna be very interesting, man. You're probably gonna get a couple of tips behind that, man, because connecting the two.
Daughter talking to granddaughter about what they can do.
What they can
those
do.
Conversations with newly married women, where older women are reinforcing for her what she can do if he doesn't act right.
Exactly, blue leashing.
And much of the time, it was always about blue leashing.
Yes,
blue leashing. Verb, noun, adjective. The act of a Black woman, or I would say any woman, calling law enforcement on a Black man, not primarily out of fear or danger, but as a means of control, discipline, and retaliation, weaponizing state power to keep him, quote unquote, on a leash.
Men are naturally submissive. All you got to do is call the police on them. Watch how submissive they get. They might even cry.
Of course, there were some other things in there about, fighting with him, arguing with him, stressing him. There was all of that. But there was also this over-reliance on state resources.
Even the Klan and the local sheriff and even the slave master, they could sick the slave master, the Klan, the local sheriff on that Black man and get him straight. Okay, and get him straight. ever since this country was founded, a black woman can actually call her white overseer and to get that man straight.
The idea that you can push this on him at any particular moment and use it against him. You can call the police. You can make up something. This is why some of these women are getting caught on video, because for the longest we didn't have smartphones, right? So you're actually seeing, and I've shown a few of these over the last few months, a few of these videos of women getting caught talking about, I'm going to lie to the cops, telling the man directly, I'm going to lie to the cops. This is what I'm going to say.
I'm with you, Mr. To lead these hyenas to the bears, okay? Let them run with the bears. I heard that.
Say to them, and then when the cops get there and even catch them in a lie, those women are surprised when they get handcuffs put on them, because for the longest they didn't.
Hey, Al, you got to get into the African music, man. Okay, African music is gonna get hot, man. In the next, I said, the next 10 years. Okay, you got to get with it, man. You're a good bass man. Got to get with it.
They wouldn't be arrested. They could get away with that. Women could lobby, accusations on celebrities.
Yes.
And if they weren't able to settle out of court, or, even worse, they found out that this person.
Yeah, Shannon Sharp got blue leashed. Okay, he did. Got blue leashed.
Was lying. Their names wouldn't even be put in the paper. They would suffer very few to no punishments. So when you have a game that's rigged that way, where you can make false accusations with no repercussions, how do you think you're going to start to see your own behavior? The entitlement level went through the roof.
Oh, man spreading. Okay.
We could be meaner to men. We should be meaner. Sounds like a plan.
When people are having
You've been hanging around black women too long.
Discussions about male loneliness epidemic, I think they're reading the signs wrong. I think there are a lot of guys.
Difference between this and Jim Crow. Okay, they can't do it legally. That's the difference. Okay, body cams and all that kind of stuff. They got to be much more cautious about it. The difference between this and Jim Crow, the white women started doing the same thing to them. So when the white women started doing the same thing to the white man, all of a sudden, the game changed. Okay, as long as they were doing it to us, they didn't care. All of a sudden, when they started treating white boys like black men, now the game has changed. That's the difference. Game's changed. Okay, what happens to the white boys? Game changes.
Guys that would love to be in an intimate, loving relationship, but if the threat of jail or having your kids taken away from you, or being a sort of indentured servant in that you have to pay money on a monthly basis, or you risk being detained by law enforcement, that is not the way that anyone wants to see a relationship with someone that they care about end. But that is waiting there. And especially with blue leashing in some situations where a guy's thinking that she could weaponize the state against me for even trying to love my kids. And as a matter of fact, there are two incredible stories, one by Dead Set Anime at the end of this particular video by Dr. T.S. Johnson, and another by Growth Talk with Kofa, detailing their difficulties trying to be good dads. So if that's what you have waiting out here for these men, of course you're going to have a male loneliness epidemic, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Except it's being called the wrong name. It's a guys keeping themselves out of trouble epidemic.
Yes, they're not playing. Okay.
You looking at? Get your ass out my driveway, ho. You don't pay for either. $170,000 to your hoe, but $11,000 in your son's bank account. $11,000.
It's very easy to overlook the fact that Brittany Renner is 6-7 years older than the man she had.
Try 9, but it's okay. So isn't the ABW acting as an expression of white power against black men by using these tactics? They aren't just continuing Jim Crow. No. Okay. No. Even though they're using the same thing, Jim Crow is not the same as slavery, and post-civil rights is not the same as Jim Crow. Okay. They can't do the exact same thing. The tactics can be the same, but the effects are not the same.
Baby with So she should be the more mature one in this situation, but she understands that any kind of blithe on this gentleman's resume that makes him look bad could cost him his NBA contract, or she could drag him back in the court again. And this, again, is for the more mature one using these tactics against a guy that she met when he was a high school guy and she was well in.
Because just like now, they're starting to take these chicks to jail because they have to. The only black men that don't fear blue leashing are alphabets. Oh no, alphabets fear blue leashing. Yes, they do. They get placed in protective custody in jail, so they'll go toe to toe with Keisha. No, alphabets get blue leashed. Trust and believe. They know better. She's 6. I thought Brittany Renner was older than that, because when they got married, he was what? When they had the baby, he was what? 21, 22. I see he should go to court and sue for full custody. He don't want full custody, man. If you want full custody, he should have sued for it. Because she's done enough to prove that she's crazy, but it's not worth it to him.
To college. Now imagine if she understands that she could use the state, she can blue leash an NBA basketball player, then what chance do you think the regular average guy on the street has? And the answer to that is not very much. And that's why guys are walking away.
So when you have a game that's rigged that way, where you can make false accusations with no repercussions, how do you think you're going to start to see the world? How do you think you're going to start to see your own behavior? The entitlement level went through the roof over the last 6 decades for a reason. This is conditioned behavior based off of policy. But as it pertains to the Black family, just wanted to kind of stop and make a statement about when we talk about Black father absence, there is another thing we need to put in there that goes beyond just Black men don't care about family, or Black men are in prison, or, Black men are just inherently trifling, or they just want white women or Latino women. These kind of dismissive, deflective, stereotypical statements about Black men used to deflect and change the conversation, so we don't act.
I know too many gay Black dudes. Okay, they're afraid of getting blue leashed by chicks. They don't put their they don't put their hands on Black women for a very good reason. They know what happened. The cops are really coming down on them. Alphabet Black men they'll talk, but they ain't gonna put their hands on her. They know better. So all of us need to leave, get that remote job, and leave the West. Why are any of us here anymore? Because a lot of us can't afford to leave. Okay. Charles said, "Ask me how I know."
Actually have to critique women in particular. But really, what we also have to pay attention to is the use.
There's a lot more gay guys that have babies by women than you think there is. Okay. But did I say that out loud? I say that out loud? Anyway, continuing.
An abuse of institutional leverage on excluding Black men from family and decision making.
I will, of course, link the rest of Dr. Tieson Johnson's video in the description box of this particular video, but he is only touching on what is baked in the cake in the interaction between Britain.
It's obvious, man. When it happens to white, okay, they don't care about you. They've been calling my father, when my father got rest his soul, right? And I was 3-4 years old. I used to see my every other week. I see my father get hauled to jail. My mother called the cops. Okay, that shit didn't change until OJ. Okay, for the most part, OJ in '94, and then all of a sudden when they passed that Violence Against Women Act, right? Okay. And they were still cool with it, right? Until cops started going to jail. Until cops started going to jail, and white cops started going to jail, right? White athletes were getting their ass whipped by the women is because women could call the cops. That shit started to change then. That shit started to change in '94. Then because then the, what you call the cams came in. Okay, so now after about a few years, oh no, bitch, but you got to go to jail just like he does. The shit started to change. Has it completely changed? No. But when it started happening to white boys, shit started to change. White boys didn't care about you going to jail for child support, okay, stuff like that, till they start having to go to jail for child support. When enough of them start going to jail for child support, shit like that, all of a sudden now they want to change the laws. That always happens that way. Women are opportunists. They're all about control. Yeah.
Renner and her former baby daddy, PJ Washington. She understands that she has any variety of levers that she can use to basically cost him something that's very valuable. And he has to be extremely careful, even though he's like 7 years younger than this woman, in the minefield that's laid around him. And he just wants to see his son. Imagine every single time he goes to pick up his son, he has to go through this.
And who was walked away in cuffs? Okay, it was Shikari. Okay, that's what they advocated for. Okay, that's what your white woman advocated for. They thought that, okay, I want to be feminist and I want equality and I'm gonna start. I don't want patriarchy. I'm gonna start calling the police on my man, on my white man. White men are only gonna go for that shit for so long, and they're gonna change shit. I've seen so many white women acting nuts and get hauled off in handcuffs, crying it's unfair. Okay, thinking they could do whatever the fuck they want to that white man. A white man ain't gonna stand for that shit.
Yes, and he's rich. What about the guys that don't have all these resources and they're dealing?
Believe it or not, Brittany Renner's mama's white.
With it every single time. I'll put it to you this way. If you watch the rest of this video, you will be surprised at the kind of things that the state has made available to women that are upset at their former lovers. And Dead Set Anime's story is right at the top of the list, followed right behind it by Growth Talk with Kofas. Listen to the video, listen to their stories, and you'll hear exactly why there is no male loneliness epidemic. There is a men don't like the leverage that men have in relationships epidemic. Men don't want to end up estranged from their children epidemic. Men don't want to end up in jail because they couldn't pay child support and they're in arrears epidemic. Men are going overseas because they want to find women that aren't going to weaponize the state against them caring about their
what's his name? I think it's Lightbringer. Okay, that's what the fuck I was talking about. Okay, that's why MGTOW was effective. That's what the fuck I was talking about. Okay, they're walking away. That's why most of these guys are not incels. They're MGTOWs. They're voluntarily walking away from this shit because the state, because the juice is not worth the squeeze. The state, what you're getting out of a woman, what you're getting from a marriage or having kids is not worth what you get back. The trouble that you have to handle. Okay, the balance sheet is way out of balance. That's like all these guys are leaving. Okay. MGTOW is a movement, was tiny. It was an offshoot of the men's rights movement. Okay, MRM. That's an offshoot, and they were going in on us. The pickup artists and the MRNs were going in on us because they didn't think the shit would work, and now the shit works. They don't even talk about that shit no more. Now, the state knew if this grew, there was going to be a problem. So the state knew. The state tried to go after MGTOWs at its inception because they knew it was going to be a problem, okay? They knew that if it gets caught hold, you'll get what you have now. Get what you have now. It's wrecking economies all the way across entertainment, clubs, marriage, kids, all kinds of shit, family, it's wrecking the whole society across the board because the fundamental basis of any society is what? The family and the extended family. If you wreck that, the whole society is going to go to shit, and everybody knows it. That's how come now they're starting to push them women back the other way because they have to. And to compete, you're going to have to push all the DEI shit out of the way and bring the men back on board and put them back in the fields where they can actually be effective and start moving your society forward. Otherwise, it's a wrap. Okay, that's why Musk said it probably can't be fixed because nobody wants to fix it. You want to keep the status quo. Okay, you want to run into that wall at 100 miles an hour. The male loneliness is a myth, the way they talk about it. You don't see all these guys on TikTok crying about being lonely. The only people talk about male loneliness and male virginity or the women and the pickup artists trying to coach you into learn how to do Riz, which is not that hard. Okay, it's not hard to learn how to do that shit. Okay, they over complicate the process. Process not that. I got a female. I got a female mentor. I got a female co-host, right? Okay, she does real estate. Okay, she don't know nothing about pickup. She can teach you how to do pickup within a week. The same technique she used to sell. Okay, to sell property and flip properties and buy and sell real estate is the same shit that you can use to actually pick up women. She can teach you how to do that shit in a week. Same process. Game is not that hard. Okay, people want to get people like Saudi Khan and other people actually want to charge you $3,000 to learn game. It's not that fucking hard. Trying to convince you to actually go out and do the work. Now that's where the work comes in. Okay, most guys don't want to do all that work. Stop being fucking lazy. You're gonna have to go through pain anyway. Get out of here. To be clear, white men unite around their dissatisfaction and get their political leaders on the case to change laws, modify old ones, or bring in new ones. Yeah, okay. You see, white men in the state got tired of fucking abortions and shit like that. They changed the fucking laws. Okay, when they got tired of that shit, it didn't take but 5 years to get rid of abortion. 5 years. Okay, I saw when it started. Okay. From 2013 to 2018, they got rid of fucking abortion. Okay, doesn't take that long when they're motivated. Okay, when white boys get tired and say we out, the white men, the white lawmakers will say, okay, we need to do something. Even the white women will get on board and say we need to do something because we can't survive without these men. Only black women say that shit. Okay, black women say that shit because y'all niggas tolerate that. Okay. I listen to y'all. Sometimes I look at Mr. Z, and even though I love Mr. Z, right, and I love the shit he says. Sometimes I listen to Roger and love the shit that he says. Okay, the only reason the black women get away with this shit because y'all tolerate this shit. Y'all actually pay attention to him. I'm indifferent. I'm indifferent to them. I don't give a shit. I don't care a shit if they starve. That's their problem. If you don't do some dumb shit, you want to be homeless out in the middle of the street. That's on you. Nobody told you to go spend $150,000 to get a useless degree because you wanted validation while you party and banging a drug dealer down the street. Got no sympathy for you. I don't have no sympathy for my daughters. Okay, I was trying to get you. I was trying to figure out a way that did you go to school cost free? Okay, with no debt, but you listen to your mama. And you want to go to school and party instead of get your degree and then go out and work and party. You can party out. You can party better outside of school than you can in school if you do it right. Party way better outside school than you can in school. College is not to go and party. College is to get your shit together and learn so you can actually set up the rest of your life. Then you want to cry 5 years later about your school debt that you have to carry for the next 40 years. Shut the fuck up. Anyway, before I get on a rant. Successful black men will leave the U.S. I think the black American community will be like the favelas in Brazil in the future, maybe not visually, but we already have it's called a project, sir. It's called South Side of Chicago. Those are the favelas in the United States. Okay, we've been had that, but it's called the ghetto. Favelas ain't nothing but another name for the ghetto. We've been had that. We had that before they did. The only thing is in the Brazil is sanctioned. Okay, in the United States, it's just a de facto thing. Okay, we've always had that. That's not new. Yeah, yeah, they can be slow. Even now, with all that, we know in 25, they still got the strong. It's right up. Wait till next month when all that shit hits. Okay, we see how strong they are. They're already crying in their cars. I kind of cars. I got videos. Somebody just sent it to me. What this video about this black woman with her reparations, right? A fat black woman, homeless with her white man, homeless with her white man. Make that make sense. Talk about integration, right? A white homeless man and a fat black homeless black woman. Okay. As my roommate in college used to say, college isn't supposed to be the only isn't supposed to be the only best days of your life. That's true. Anyhow, let me get out of here. I have my time is up. I'm getting ready to punch out. Thank you, Passport OG, for the cheat sheet. Okay, appreciate you, sir. Yeah, I'll make it easy. I started to do the thing on Dr. T's, but the thing is, it was probably too long. I need to chop it up, or chop up sections. I don't know what I'll do tomorrow, but I'll think of something. So appreciate you guys for stopping by. Okay, I know I put this up late, and but this is an extension from what we talked about yesterday. Okay, about the simple economy drying up. Okay, drying up here too. That's what they're complaining about, and there's a reason for it. Okay, is this juice is not worth the squeeze. So this movement that was started back in 2010. Okay, as a broad-based movement, especially for white guys. Okay, this shit is accelerating. It's de facto now, not just in the black community, but also in the white community. Okay, they're not showing up. Men aren't dating. They're not chasing women anymore. It's accelerating. I didn't say there were Brazilian style favelas, okay? Favelas are just basically ghettos, okay? You're not gonna get a favela in the United States because we're not in Brazil. Just like you're not gonna get the same kind of ghetto in China that you do in Brazil, or same kind of ghetto in Poland that you do in Brazil. Okay, they're all different. Okay, the ghetto in Guatemala is not going to be the same as the ghetto in Brazil. They're different. We have our version of the favela, which is the ghetto, the housing projects. Okay, the black neighborhoods. Okay, those are the version of the favelas. They don't have building codes is because Brazil don't have building codes, but they have building codes in the United States. Okay, if you go down south, they don't have building codes either. All them neighborhoods. It's not going to be the same. I remember one time, man, I was in Guatemala, right, and I always used to walk by this big fenced area. It's almost it looked like a block and a half, right? Big ass fence area, right? Fence was was it 20 feet high, 15 feet high. Okay, couldn't see over, right? And it had tarp, covers around the fence. You couldn't see in, right? Okay, so I passed it every day, man. Didn't know what was in it, right? So one day I passed it as people were getting off work, and I walked by it, and the gate was open. Okay, I looked inside it. There was like maybe 200 little like 200 little shacks, right, where families lived. It was covered, had a little tin roof. It had a little one door, dirt floor, okay, and a little curtain for a door and shit like that, okay. Like 200, all in that same area, okay, in that same little fenced area, right, okay. That's the example of the ghetto, okay. but the ghettos look differently depending on where you go. Okay, you go to the Philippines, it looks differently than it does the favelas. Okay, the ghetto looks differently according to the environment that you're in. LXT equalizer. Will he do just had the second baby with his girl to want to make sure he's good? Yeah, probably so. But its function is similar. It's very similar. It's the same thing, man. Just like the shanty towns in Jamaica, or the Caribbean, or the shanty towns in Haiti. Okay, it's the same shit, man. Anyway, let me get out of here, y'all. I will see you guys later. If you guys gonna say stuff, okay, I understand what you guys say, but you guys, I don't know, maybe it's ADHD drugs or whatever it is. You guys are so narrowly focused on one little thing instead of understanding the broader aspect and how the shit changes from one culture to the next. The shit changes from one culture to the next, okay? Your environment, you're not going to have the same kind of encampment in Iceland that you do in Brazil, or same kind of encampment in Brazil that you do in Guatemala. It's not going to be the same. It's going to be different according to the culture and the environment. You ever saw that huge ghetto in Nairobi called Kibera? Nope, I have never saw it. I never saw it. Okay. Or the village, man. There's a whole bunch of villages, man, that are outskirts of large cities like Nairobi and Mombasa, okay, that function the same way. You look at them and they look just like the favelas. Okay. Favelas just happen to build upward, but the thing is the function is still the same. Dude, okay? It's not going to be the same, okay? But it functions the same way. Functions exactly the same way. You just happen to be in a richer country. It functions exactly the same way. Where do you put your poor people? What's the difference between Brazil and Brazil and the ghetto, and Brazil, the ghetto in Chicago, and the ghetto in the Philippines? Okay, same shit. Where you put your poor people? Hell, you go to Mexico. There's more violence in fucking the Mexico villages than there are in Brazil, in the Brazilian favelas. Okay, where you put your poor people? It's the same shit. America, because you live in a richer country, okay, there's a floor under you, okay? But poverty in one country is relative, okay? Just like racism, it's relative. Poor people do have automobiles in the third world countries. They do. Poor people do. Okay. What do you think? Especially boda drivers. Okay. Motorcycle drivers. You know, I've seen poor people band together and buy automobiles. Okay. Never mind, man. Never mind. Never mind. Okay. Never mind. I don't. You. I don't. The thing is, a ghetto is a ghetto is a ghetto is a ghetto. Okay. Where do you put your poor people? The favelas are much more well off than the poor people in Kenya, or the poor people in Ghana, or hell, even the poor people in some place like Swaziland or something like that. Okay. or basically even some place like Mumbai. It's all relative. Where do you put your poor people at? The gang split, harassment. It's all go back and look at Peace Show, okay, and go back and look at the City of God, man. Very similar shit, almost to the T, almost to the letter. Man, okay. Anyway, man, it's the ghettos are different depending on where you are. Okay, ghettos are different depending on where you are. Anyway, let me get out of here. But the thing is, you're looking at it at a pedestrian level instead of a civilian level. Okay. I didn't say Japan. Jeffrey, shut up, man. Get the fuck out of here. That's not what we're even arguing about. Shut up. You're trying to bring in different shit. We're not gonna argue about this shit, man. We do this fucking shit on a fucking daily basis, okay? At a higher level, okay? We know the similarities, okay? The violence in Chicago with crack and what they go through, okay, is a different. But the thing is, there's very striking similarities to Mexico, to Brazil, to Mumbai, all that shit. Very similar. It's a ghetto. A ghetto is a ghetto is a ghetto. Now, some have more money than others, but the thing is, guess what? It is what it is, right? It's still a ghetto. Welfare has to be on its way out the door. We're on the heels of government shutdown. Social Security will start to go broke by 2032. What government's going to fund Keisha's lifestyle? It's basically we've already we talked about that a couple of weeks ago, about a week ago, right? About them cutting back on well, they already started cutting back on Section 8, but also SNAP and welfare. Okay, you're getting ready to start stripping that away. So it is what it is. That's what I was telling you guys, man. Beware. The thing is, there's way more homeless there's way more homeless in the United States than there's homeless in Brazil. Okay. One thing you say about it, okay, there's very little homelessness in Brazil. There's way more homelessness in a rich country like the United States. But there shouldn't be, right? But there is. Why is that? The world is a ghetto by war. Yes, sir. Anyhow, let me get out of here, y'all. And I will see you guys. The young guys always go off on random tangents because you don't like something. Okay. That's not what we were talking about. It can be allowed to be going broke. If there ain't no more money to pay it, what's going to happen? Okay. If there ain't no money to pay it, what's going to happen to Social Security? Okay, they'll go broke just like everything else, right? It's called a depression. What happens when there's depression? All bets are off. The old folks will die. Okay. I don't know. You guys, you guys need to read more, man. Y'all need to read more.
What can I say? Mamba out.